Thank you. Hello, I'm Kim Kupiainen, and today I will be talking about what is a producer anyway, so that we all know what is a producer. So, who am I? I'm Kim Kupiainen. I'm the producer at Huge Games, ex Critical Force. I'm part of 3,000 plus producer Discord community, also part of the IGDA Finland board, and I'm the IGDA Kajani Hub lead. Um, First up, public service announcement. I'm only speaking for myself based on my experience and expertise. When I say anything, do not think of it as the stance of the company. Think of it as Kim's opinion over anything else. I do have a lot of opinions, and I do think that some of them are based on facts. So here's pretty much the summary of what we'll be going through. What does a producer do? Defining the role, core responsibilities, team and morale, stakeholder management, and then sum it up in a nutshell. After which I have few stories about when production fails and when it succeeds. So what does a producer do? They basically are the backbone of game dev and supports the team constantly on any way possible. It comes down to your expertise and your capability most of the time. But in addition to that, it's about you being able to listen to people and understand when people need help from each other. So if you'd have to define the role, it's kind of like a conductor, a football coach, cleric, lawyer, and samurai combined. And the more skills you have on all the different disciplines, the better producer you can be for the team, because then you have this general overall knowledge about everything, and it's easier then to guide, evaluate, and estimate what is feasible in the scope of the whole project. As a producer, your core responsibilities will be quite vague, but there will be a lot that will be put on you. There's the project management side, so the actual tasking of what are we trying to create and making sure that that is aligned with the design of what we're trying to do, and the team members understand what we're trying to do. So this involves a lot of communication and using different tools to help out the people. And despite you communicating and helping out the people all the time a lot, there will be still problems that might occur for some reason, and then you need to be there to help find the correct people to solve the problem, or be the one that helps to solve the problem. Uh, Also, budget and stakeholder management. When I say budget, I mean how much monetary support you can have for the project that you're doing. And in addition to that, the stakeholder management, which involves basically talking with the community, talking with the executives about the scope of the project, and managing expectations. And this all then boils down into risk and resource management, so that we do not overpromise something. And when we're doing our job, the better job we can do when we have clearly defined what the process looks like. So when you're creating assets, we need to understand how are we creating those assets, and what is the scope of definition of done for each different discipline. There are companies where artists create art and they create 3D assets and then they're done. There are companies where artists actually implement their stuff into the game engine and they rig it and they make sure it works together with the programmers. So the definition of done can vary a lot depending on where you work. And in addition to that, there's also maintaining the vision and scope. So making sure that we're doing the correct things at correct time. And if you're a good producer, you will obviously also try to take into account the people's wants of what does he actually want to learn or she wants to learn, so that you're not forcing people to learn about quantum physics if that's not up in their forte, if they want to learn about using Substance Painter or some other tooling for their future work. And obviously, the fundamental thing you need to do is ship the game with the team. That's it in a nutshell. So about the team and morale, you are supposed to keep a motivated, balanced, and healthy working environment. That means also resolving conflicts, helping out people, and building career paths so that people can become better and are feeling part of the team. This can be also fun sessions like, sometimes hosting a D&D one-shot for your guys and girls in your team, doing something fun that is not fundamentally just work. And stakeholder management we kind of touched upon already before, but basically in representing the game's interest to external parties like publishers and investors or executive partners as well as a community. So plenty of people to keep in tabs, so to say. In a nutshell, with a producer, chaos is turned into order, hopefully, and they ensure the vision becomes reality. That's what the producer does. Day to day might look something like this. Like today, I helped out our team members to solve some blockers by in the daily stand up where we were discussing what are we going to do today. I know that one team member said that, hey, I have this thing, but it's waiting for review from another discipline. And then I would pick it up like, hey, did you guys notice that this person is now waiting for help? So in order for him to work efficiently, if there is possibility and somebody doesn't have something to do right now, would somebody be able to pick it up? And there we resolved it immediately when one of the teammates said that, yeah, I can pick it up and take a look at it. Then additionally, you document the work that was done. You can use project management tools. You can use whatever clarifies what was done. And then before doing the things, we need to create already a timeline, which can at times feel like a situation where you're thinking about asking somebody to marry you even before you've actually gone on the first date. So it can be quite difficult to do an estimation, but that's what you have the team for. So you go around and ask questions and ask, how much time do you think it would take to build something like this? And then you define the project there together with the designers. Yeah, you keep on informing stakeholders day to day, like, hey, this project is at this stage and everything's going nice. Or if there's fundamental problems, you flag those immediately and then you call out a powwow so you can resolve that problem or find a way around it. And always keep reminding the team about the Northern Star, like what is the end result we're looking for, so that we don't get too caught up into things that might interest us personally. What happens when a game producer is not there? In the late 1990s, John Romero created this plan for this very cool game. On paper, it sounded very cool. It was called Daikatana, and it was supposed to redefine what a first-person shooter is. And the game was highly anticipated because, like, everybody believed in Romero's design skills, but ultimately what happened was that the team ran into internal conflicts and they were not able to align on what they're supposed to focus on. And the 1-year development cycle that they had promised to the community and the marketers already turned into 3 years. And the end result looked subpar to other FPS shooters at that point in time. And it flopped immensely just due to the fact that we didn't count our prayers and focus on the correct things, so to say. Well, then a personal story from the past. There was this company I was working with that was creating in-game visuals for their game, and the goal was to push new content in every 6 weeks. And deliveries were declining after every 6-week rotation, so there would be less and less of new stuff that people were able to deliver, and people were more and more taking sick leaves and falling sick. And I was at that point working as a QA, but then I got a promotion to associate producer, and I immediately started tackling this problem. And after deconstructing the pipeline and the delivery methods with the team, I realized that the tooling was lacking, and it was causing team members to churn out and actually fall sick because the work demanded too much from them. So what we do then, I suggested fixes that we move into 10-week rotation. We don't even try to push for 6 weeks. We see how much content we can deliver in 10 weeks. And instead of designing everything ourselves and using, I think it was around 3 weeks of the whole development time into designing, we could outsource the portions that we don't want to design, so that if somebody had a clear idea of what kind of package they want to do, then they could do it. Outside of that, then yeah, let's just outsource it, so it's like less work on your plate and you can focus on actual delivery. And then we updated the internal tooling to support the people, so basically moving from Adobe Photoshop to Substance Painter to actually create the weapon skins, for example, straight into the weapon. So it's easier to see what it's actually going to look like when you put it into the game. And in addition to that, if somebody said that they were going to, like, they were feeling kind of sick, I would bug the hell out of them to make sure that they go and get a doctor to look at them. Because, like, after COVID, people have been falling sick all the time, and it's not been the healthiest time for anybody. So I want to make sure that the people I work with stay healthy and are taking good care of themselves. So this all in conjunction caused the team to be able to deliver more content consistently and without churn or self-induced crunch. And as numbers, it looks kind of like this. So orange is the old way and blue is the new way. I hope that this is colorblind accessible. But basically, we were able to deliver significant amount of more content. And while delivering more content, we were also able to have less sick leaves than before. And these are quite major changes, but keeping in mind it was a year duration of actually refining and defining the pipeline and helping the people out, you could get significant return on investment based on that. And that's ultimately what it's all about. Making sure we do the correct stuff at the correct time with the correct tools and empowering people to do their best. So as a summary, game producers orchestrate vision, manage chaos, and deliver greatness. And you always need to be aware of the price of creation. That's about it. Thank you on my part. And if you have any questions, you can definitely put them into the chat right now. But in addition to that, you can always contact me later, kim.kupiainen@gmail.com or www.kimkupiainen.com. And yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Let's go with the questions. Due to the vagueness of the role and responsibilities, what advice do you have for junior producers applying for the jobs in the games industry? And to make it easier, if to the right, you remember there's this Q&A tab. So if you open it, I think you will.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. I appreciate that question. So the role is, as you said, very vague. My advice for a junior would be to kind of focus on a portion of delivery that you know that exists in game development in general. Like, if it's let's say it's art or content, focus on that and then use that as a stepping stone for applying for the junior job, or then like make projects with people like non-profits and learn leadership skills there and showcase those leadership skills in when you're applying for some other position. For example, like many producers start as a role of QA. I'm not saying that QA should be a stepping stone for production, but I think there's a lot of processes that we can develop to be better, and you should always aim for targeting those and then actually understanding the cost of development. Isra, if that was a sufficient answer, please tell me so. If you need a more refined answer, tell that too. I think that was a very good question.
So next question, could you tell me if I have interesting games in my head? I constantly record them and analyze them for the time relevance. But since I'm not a developer, but so to say, an idea inspirer, how presentations of ideas happens? Who looks at and analyzes new projects at the beginning of the journey?
Yeah, that's a very good question too. Depending on the company you're working for, there might be different processes, but how at least at Huge we do it, we have our general manager who will go through our pitches for a project, like what kind of project would we want to create, and based on that, then we start collecting data on the feasibility of the idea. So that means that we're actually going to research if there is a market for that type of an idea, because outside of that, if we develop a cool game that has no significant markings of what is the market outside of our knowledge right now, we might not want to actually do that idea regardless of it being cool. So you can present the idea as a pitch deck. So tell what happens in the game, how are you supposed to feel about the game, what is the target audience. Basically, like if you try to find online from somewhere a pitch deck base, I think Raw Fury at least has published those so that you would know better what are the investors looking for. If you can answer those questions while building interesting games in your head, you're already in a very, very good place compared to many other professionals.
That's question. I'll rephrase it a little bit, Chris. What would the responsibilities and role look like for a junior producer? And how can we show that we have the capabilities to succeed in the role?
Well, I mean, I would not expect a junior personally to solve any problems. I would expect a junior to be aware of the problems and be able to vocalize them to the senior roles in the company. Like if there's a producer and an associate producer, for example, the associate should be able to notice if there are problems, but maybe they at that point of their career don't yet have all the answers on how to resolve those problems. How can you show that you have the capabilities to succeed in this role? I think flagging problems is a very good start, because that's what it boils down into ultimately. And later down the line, you find tools to resolve those issues in general.
I'm a game developer. I'm a game producer. What path should I take? Should I take PMP or should I study project management courses like Google Project Management or what?
Well, first up, I think the Google Project Management course is very good. I'd actually advocate for that. Yes, take it. And in addition to that, I will post into the chat a invite link into the Discord community where there are, as said, 3,000 plus producers already. So I think that's a very good place to start getting your sea legs for production. I'm not actually do it right now. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Any tips on which companies to join if wanted to try out working as a producer for unpaid pro bono game projects? Communities. I think communities you are about to share now.
Yes, I am about to share. Just give me a second. Let's see if I can find the community here. Yes. I will quickly. There we go. I'm gonna put it into the chat. To join a producer-oriented community. Join here.
What are the key skills you need to have to move from any role, let's say QA or dev, to production?
I think, let's say QA or dev to production. I think communication skills and leadership skills are quite useful in this role. So if you have good leadership skills, good managerial skills, and you're a good active listener, that will probably help you out a lot on moving to production. Obviously, understanding the core components of the game from different disciplines' point of view and respecting their understanding and knowledge is also very important. And there might be difficulties with that if you're, especially if you're coming from a dev to producer. It's easy to kind of forget that while you know a lot about that stuff, might be that you've actually kind of, during your time in production, you've kind of fallen off the wagon, so you don't know exactly what's the newest way of doing the thing. But yeah, be wary of that if you're planning to do that.
One question from me, Kim. What are the pain points of being producer?
Where should I start? It's like you need to have very good time management skills, and you need to also really be able to refine which battles you start to fight from the get-go. Because like if you promise something to the team that you're not able to withhold, then you are building unclarity and mistrust. So you need to always stay very mindful about what you can deliver. So you can't make any promises that you're not able to keep. In addition to that, you need to always be focusing on what are the project's needs and what is the monetary situation and how are the developers doing with their work. After which comes the health and stability thing. And these are all important vectors, but you need to mindfully choose where you're going to focus on at which given time. I think that's the hardest part. I wish I could do everything at the same time, but there's really no chance that I can do everything at the same time.
One more question from me while we are still waiting for the other questions. What motivated you to move to the production?
See, I was an artist before, and that's how I got my sea legs from general game development originally. And I went to KAMK, the Kajaani University of Applied Sciences, and I saw very talented, very cool artists there. And instead of me focusing on my art anymore that much. I wanted to just empower those people that could already create something that was significantly better than what I did. And I was working at Bytecore doing all sorts of things in addition to being an artist. I would take care of like Zero papers for Japanese Sony release for our game, and I'd take care of like I was the I know a guy of our company at that point in time, and I was helping people to get stuff done with the help of other people. And then it was Antti Seppänen, one of our teachers, who pointed me out like, hey, Kim, you've been an artist, but have you ever considered a career in production? And I was like, what the heck is production? I don't know. I've never heard about this. And that's then it opened a very much new life for me. And that's how I shifted my focus. And ultimately the school projects were cool because I think I was rolling around with 20 plus people at school, and we would always take this technical aspect of trying to deliver something that wasn't delivered before in any school project, and how I was able to see the end result of that was that it was, I think 17 of those 20 people were hired into some game company due to the fact that we were always pushing the boundaries of what we can actually deliver and create, and we were doing it in a safe environment, and we had fun while doing it. And that's pretty much like the summary of what you do as a producer, if you boil it down into.
More questions coming, Kim. How to switch to a game producer if you already have 4+ years as a software development project manager? Do you have to learn? And possible to switch at least a junior production already?
That's a very interesting point of view. Like, you probably know the different delivery methods like Scrum and Kanban. So and waterfall and yada yada. Like, you probably have already some like skills on that side. So I don't think it's like you're not starting from ground up if you switch from IT software project management to game projects. I think the nature of the development process might change because we're not delivering actively to a customer in the very beginning of a project. So you can kind of take that mindset in there instead of having the 2-week cycle of always deliver value to stakeholders type of thing. So I think you could easily change from software development to game development.
Let's take one more question. Who would you say who is the bridge between people and disciplines? Producers, game designers, tech artists, someone else?
Depends. I think all of those are very good bridges depending on your scope of discussion. I don't think that, like, as said, respect the people's knowledge and understanding of their thing. If you as a producer don't know something about some topic, try to refrain from commenting on it and try to combine the people who know about this topic that need to sync up to talk about it instead. I think the game designers and tech artists both should talk with the team and should also like feel empowered to share their point of view, especially game designers when creating a new game. Needs to be crystal clear for everybody.
Thank you very much, Kim. And as promised, I see more questions are coming in. So if you can take another 10 minutes and just answer those questions.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.